Hi, everyone, and thank you for coming to the Work Automation Index Findings and Predictions webinar. We'll be giving it a couple of minutes for more people to join us in here. Thank you, everyone, for your patience. We'll be starting in a couple of minutes. Let's give it one more minute. Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Work Automation Index Findings and Predictions webinar. Let me start by first sharing some housekeeping matters. Okay, so firstly, this webinar is being recorded, so we will send you the recording after the webinar is over. And if you have a question, please pop it in the Q&A box. So if you look at the bottom bar on your screen, you will see a box that says Q&A. So that is where you can enter any questions that you have at any time throughout this entire webinar. And lastly, if you do face any technical difficulties or you cannot hear anything, please flag it in the chat box and we will assist you to the best of our abilities. Please do ask questions along the way, and our hosts and speakers for today will be answering them as we go along. And that is all good. Let's go on to introducing our two speakers for today. I would like you to give it up for two of our speakers today. Massimo Pazzini is the Head of Research, Future of Enterprise at Workado. Workado, is the leader in enterprise automation, and in his role, Massimo is a strategic advisor to the Workado team with a focus on how automation technologies will evolve to support a rapidly transforming business environment. He has more than 45 years of experience in the IT market, and he spent the last 25 years at a leading research analyst firm, Gartner, as a vice president analyst. So we're really privileged to have Massimo on the call with us today and to guide us through today's topic. Joining us for today's webinar, we also have Kader Basi, our Chief Information Officer at Workado. Kader is the CIO, where he leads business technology and best practice internal usage of Workado's automation technology. As an IT executive, Kader has seen much success in both private and public companies, and he's had a career spanning 3 IPOs. So we're really, really excited to have Kader join us today and weigh in on some of the insights for today's discussion. And finally, for those of you who have not downloaded the Automation Index yet, or if it's your first time hearing of it, this is our annual release and review of the top automation trends going on globally. You can scan the QR code appearing on the screen here and download your own copy of the automation index if you do not have it on hand. We will be flashing this code as well at the end of the webinar. So stay tuned for that and download your copy. I'll give you guys a couple more seconds if you need to scan this and download it. Okay. And next, I will pass it on to Carter. Carter will be taking us through the agenda for today.
Thank you. Thanks, Miranda. Hello, everybody. My name is Carter. I'm the CIO here at Workato. And besides our user conference, this is my favorite time of year when we publish this index. I love it because it's real data. A lot of people do survey data, but this is actually really this is our data from analysis that Massimo will walk us through. And just like Massimo, in the US for football, American football, and baseball, there's always two announcers doing a game. There's the analyst, and then there's the color commentator. So when we're kind of thinking through this, Massimo, I think it's best if you're the analyst, you did 25 years at Gartner, and then I'll just kind of add some color throughout the agenda here. How about that? What do you think about that?
Wonderful. Thank you, Carter. This is a perfect setup.
Yeah. So here's the agenda. We can kind of read it there. Key takeaways, and I think Miranda, we'll just get right into it. But it's a great report, and we have some great summary data for you. So can't wait to dig in here.
Thank you, Carter. Good afternoon, everybody from me as well. This is Massimo. It's a pleasure to meet you all, even though just virtually for the time being. And I hope to meet you in person sooner or later. First and foremost, what is the Work Automation Index? The Work Automation Index is a document reporting a lot of data that we gathered over the past several months, basically analyzing the activity of our customers in terms of their usage of the Workato platform, right? So, of course, we applied a lot of artificial intelligence and machine learning to classify the processes that our customers have implemented on top of Workato. As you can see, we analyzed the data coming from 1,100 plus enterprise customers across the world. We collected data for 12 months. And basically, we have analyzed 82,000 plus flows or processes implemented by our customers on top of the Workato platform. We use something like 30,000 plus flows as the training data set. But we don't use any customer data or logic or other asset. What we really only use are the metadata generated by the platform as the flows are implemented and executed. So as Carter was saying, this is not a survey. This is real data. This is not asking customers what they plan to do over the next 5 years. It is just analyzing what they have done essentially over the past 12 months. So what are the key takeaways? The key takeaways are the following. Of course, the big thing in 2023 was generative AI. And in our analysis, we are seeing that the use of generative AI in the context of business processes is really skyrocketing. The absolute numbers are still relatively low, but we see a significant growth quarter over quarter in terms of customers leveraging Workato to integrate AI type of capabilities into their business processes. We see several drivers for the use of enterprise automation technology. One important trend is the trend towards democratization. We are going to spend a significant portion of this webinar to discuss this democratization aspect. Plasticity or business agility is another driver for the adoption of enterprise automation technology. And the prevailing one is really the willingness or the interest in our customers to automate their end-to-end business processes. Democratization is for real, as we are going to see organizations are leveraging the platform to delegate responsibility for enterprise automation to business teams. And as we are going to see, a significant portion of enterprise automation builders or developers are not really IT people, but they are people reporting into some business team. And those business teams are not only addressing simple Mickey Mouse, as I used to say, type of processes, but they are really able to use the platform to address significantly complex requirements. And the other data point, which is probably quite obvious, but our data show this very, very clearly, is that organization, they integrate a myriad of endpoints in their business processes. So the number of applications and databases and systems that organizations are connecting to each other using the platform really very, very high, even though there are a few applications and systems which are very, very popular across the board. So let's get started with the first part, which is enterprise automation and how organizations are addressing this problem. So by enterprise automation, we mean the convergence of the classic integration technologies, such as technologies to synchronize databases, technologies to integrate applications with each other, etc., with the classic process automation technologies. And what we are seeing is that organizations are actually addressing three fundamental use cases, which we are going to see in a minute, of which the multi-step process automation is the most common. So the most common use case for the platform is really automating end-to-end business processes, either in the context of business teams and also, of course, also in the context of IT. So IT itself is using the platform to automate their internal processes. But of course, different organizations, they adopt different patterns depending on the business goals. So some organizations are very much focused on automating processes. Other organizations are very much focused on synchronizing data. Other companies are focused on publishing APIs and leveraging those APIs for building mobile applications or other systems. But as we are going to see, overall, basically every enterprise use a combination of use the platform to support a combination of different use cases. So this is the data point. As you can see, 50+% of the organizations we analyzed use the platform to support the multi-step process automation use case. So in other words, they are connecting people and systems in order to automate an end-to-end business process, such as order to cash or hire to retire or employee onboarding, etc. But as you can see, a significant portion are using the platform to integrate the data. 13%, as you can see, use the platform to synchronize data across different data stores. For example, pushing data from a ERP system or a CRM system into a data lake or a data warehouse. And a significant portion, almost 20%, are using the platform to integrate applications with each other. For example, to download the sales data from Salesforce into an ERP system like NetSuite or Epicor or SAP. The remainder is really in support of the pattern I call the composition pattern, which is fundamentally exposing APIs out of application systems or databases and leverage those APIs to implement bots. As you can see, 11% of our customers are really leveraging the platform to support bot front end. And the reminder is customers, organization exposing APIs out of existing systems. Then those APIs are consumed, for example, by mobile applications. But as I was saying earlier, this is the average, of course, the average across these 11,000 customers, 1,100 customers. Here we have 12 samples of 12 different customers. Those are relatively large organizations. Of course, we cannot tell you the names of these organizations, but in some cases you can guess who they are. And as you can see, different organizations, they put an emphasis on different use cases. So, for example, this global investment management company, which is in the first diagram in the second line, as you can see, is very, very much focused on the application integration scenario. Whereas, for example, this Fortune 500 energy company, it's very much focused on APIs. So 48% or 49% of the processes they implemented are in support of APIs. So again, there is a universal recognition that enterprise automation is about supporting different use cases. However, different companies, they focus on the particular use case rather than another, depending on, of course, on their business needs and business requirements. So Carter, what are the key action items and key takeaways here from this part of the
thanks,
presentation?
Massimo. I've been doing IT for 30 years, and I've used many integration tools. And now being here for 3 years, I can really say that if you really want to do true enterprise automation, you got to think of integration and automation together. You really do, and you also need a highly versatile tool to do true automation. I use some of their other products in the space. It's really more just integration, but you do need not only the integration of the Workato does. You need to do API endpoints. You need to have these bots and applications people using every day, like Slack and Teams. We use Teams. I'm sorry, we use Slack internally. I'm over in Europe right now, where there's a lot of MS Teams, and then also ETL for true automation, and also for pure process automation, you need a highly versatile tool. And then from experience, I fully agree with that.
Excellent. So let's move to the second part, which is about democratization, right? So what is democratization? Well, democratization is a general trend that we see in the industry. It's not just about enterprise automation. Democratization essentially means delegating the responsibility for digital delivery, delivery of applications, delivery of data, delivery of solution, etc. Delegating this responsibility to the business teams. In other words, the role of the CIO is less and less the role of a factory, implementing solutions and delivering solutions, and more the role of an enabler, right? An enabler for the business teams. And as a matter of fact, our data, they show that organizations, they do leverage enterprise automation in multiple teams. Not only that, but this automation work is not necessarily done by IT people, but it is also done by business people, business experts. As we're going to see, is almost 50-50. In other words, 57% of the developers are reporting into an IT department, but the balance, 44, 46, are business experts, people reporting into head of sales, into head of HR, etc. The other factor that we discovered in analyzing the data is that democratization doesn't happen over time. It doesn't happen over time. It's a journey, right? There is a natural progression in terms of how enterprise automation is leveraged within organization. It starts in IT and then it expands elsewhere. So those are the data. So what are we observing here? Here we are observing the number of business teams and departments within the organizations we analyzed. The number of organizations which are leveraging the enterprise automation platform in one department, in two departments, three departments, etc., etc. So as you can see, there is a comparison between the reported data in 22 and the data in 2023. So as you can see, there is a clear trend, right? For example, in 2022, 31% of the enterprises we analyzed were leveraging the platform in only one department. This number dropped to 16% in 23. On the other side of the spectrum, in 22, only 19% of the organization leveraged the platform in more than 5 departments. And as you can see, in 2023, 37% of them leveraged the platform in more than 5 departments. So overall, if you combine the data here, 53% of the organization we analyzed, they use the enterprise automation in greater than 4 different departments. Those could be IT, sales, marketing, and HR, or can be customer support, finance, IT, and marketing. But the trend is very, very clear. The trend is to, as I was saying earlier, more and more delegate the responsibility for enterprise automation to the business teams. So the question is, what are those business teams? And when it comes to 2023, for the most part, organization, they leveraged enterprise automation to help the data operation and business intelligence team. So as you can see, 33% of the automation flows implemented in 23 are in support of the data operation and business intelligence team. This is not surprising, frankly speaking, you know, with all the emphasis that we have in terms of data is the new oil, and analytics, and of course, most recently AI and generative AI. Clearly, organizations are spending efforts and money to leverage their data, to collect those data and push them into data warehouses and data lakes for analytics and training models, et cetera, et cetera. 19% of the flows implemented in 23 are in support of the IT department. And to me, this is clearly a reflection of the push towards efficiency in IT departments. In 2023, the key word was efficiency, cost containment, to do more with less. And of course, IT applied those principles to themselves, leveraging enterprise automation to automate their internal processes. Then the third one is customer support and operations. 18% of the flows implemented in 23 were designed to support customer support and operation. And this is, in my view, a clear reflection of the focus that in 2023 organizations worldwide that they had on customer retention. The mantra in 23 was not winning new customers. The mantra was retaining existing customers. So organizations, they invested a lot in automating their customer support and operation to increase customer satisfaction, reduce churn, and of course, increase customer retention. Then we have finance and accounting, 14%. And this is, to me, yet another indication of the fact that last year priority was efficiency and cash flow. So finance and accounting departments, they focused on optimizing their processes and therefore, you know, optimizing cash flow most likely. Then you see human resources, revenue operation, product and engineering, and so on and so forth. So this gives you a snapshot of fundamentally what was the focus for organization in terms of leveraging enterprise automation in 23. Probably the picture in 22 was very different. Probably, well, as you remember, in 2021, 2022, the focus was really winning new customers. It was growth. The business imperative was growth. And therefore, we saw back then more focus on marketing, on sales, et cetera. In 2023, instead, the buzzword, the keyword was efficiency, and therefore, this is very well reflected, I believe, in this diagram. In terms of the individual processes, not surprisingly, we saw a significant growth in the number of flows implemented in support of customer operations and support. For the reason I was mentioning earlier, the priority last year was customer retention. The number of processes implemented to support the data operations and business intelligence processes also grow very significantly, 221%. And then you see the others: IT, product and engineering, human resources, revenue operation, finance and accounting. The previous picture was a static picture, the total number of processes implemented over the years. This is instead a diagram showing you the growth in the past year. And again, we see here the business priorities of 2022 mirrored in this diagram. Emphasis on data, emphasis on customer retention, and emphasis on cost savings and efficiency. As I was saying earlier, very interesting data point that we collected about last year is who actually did this job. And as you can see, 56% of the enterprise automation builders, so people actually building enterprise automation flows, where 56%, as I was saying, were reporting into an IT department. So we can say they are professional developers or professional automation experts, but 44% instead are not IT people, they are business people. I mean, don't get me wrong, maybe they have a PhD in computer science, but they don't report into the IT department. They report into the head of sales, into the HR department, into the product department, et cetera, which is very, very interesting finding, confirming that this notion of democratization is really happening. And it is happening in the sense that not only is the technology being used across a variety of different teams, but it is also being used by people with different skills, people with deep IT skills, but also people who are supposed to be business experts, not necessarily IT experts. This is a global phenomenon, right? It's not just US, it's not just EMEA. As you can see here, the US is a little ahead of the average because almost 45% of the US-based enterprise automation developers are business people. EMEA is slightly behind average, 42% are business people, and the APJ region, Asia Pacific and Japan region, is more or less in line with EMEA. But you know, those are essentially rounding errors. The trend is there and is there across the globe. So democratization is a global phenomenon. Organizations everywhere in the world are looking at this model as an efficient and effective way of delivering enterprise automation, maximizing business flexibility and supporting you know, the business requirements at the business team level. However, our findings is that this is a journey, as I was saying earlier. Very naturally, at the very beginning, organization, they delegate the responsibility for enterprise automation almost entirely to IT. As you can see, after 12 months of adoption of enterprise automation, 69% of the builders are IT people and only 31% are business people. That you see what happens after 36 months. So after 36 months, it's almost 50-50. In other words, 52% of the builders are IT people and only 48%, and almost 48% are business people, which is fundamentally a 50-50 trend. It's going to be interesting to see what happens next, but this shows you what is the natural progression. Organization, they first adopt enterprise automation and they essentially task the IT department to do the job, but over time they realize that there is a benefit in terms of business goals in delegating the responsibility to the business teams and to enable business people to do the job. So, Carter, what is your take on this analysis? What are we doing at Workato in this respect?
Yeah, it's CROs are always under pressure. We're always being asked to do more with less, and it's really interesting to see that over 3 years, the data shows that mainly the buyers of this product of Workato are actually leveraging the business to help them build those into internal products and processes and automate them. Internally, we're at 45%, so we're matching this, and we have a goal this year of getting to 50%. And we continue to do work jams, and we continue to do hackathons to get that percentage higher. You have to. It is a journey, just like you talked about, Massimo. It's a journey to get to these numbers, but it's a constant. Yes, we're Workato, but we're still doing internal center of excellences, monthly meetings with businesses, individual work jams with new team members. So it's a journey. Yep. But it is fun when you can actually build internal automations with the business. The light bulbs start going off, and it makes our job in IT a lot easier.
And I think you said a very important thing. In order to strategically support this democratization model, you really need to sell the idea, right? You have these work jams and all kind of activities that you run in order to encourage the business side of the house to take advantage of the platform. Yeah. So let's move to the next one, which is what kind of business processes, right? So in other words, we said enterprise automation is used to support a variety of different use cases. Enterprise automation is adopted across multiple business teams. It is implemented by different personas, IT personas, et cetera. In this section of the presentation, we want to dig a little deeper into what are the business processes, the most important business processes, right? And what we found is that 20 business processes attract the most significant investments. So, of course, when it comes to enterprise automation, opportunities are infinite to a certain extent, but for various reasons, business reasons and other reasons, organizations, they tend to focus on 20 most important business processes. And in particular, 3 of these 20 attracted more than 50% of the effort, right? So it's very, very clear what is the priority from our customer perspective in terms of automating business processes. There are 3 fundamental processes they invest on. And the drivers for investments, as I was saying earlier, are fundamentally enabling insights and analytics and AI, increasing customer retention, cutting costs, and accelerating time to value. So if we look at these processes here, we recognize that some of those processes are really focused on data. For example, the most popular process being automated using the enterprise automation platform is data pipeline and reverse ETL, which is pumping data into a data warehouse and extracting data from a data warehouse. As you can see, the second most important is customer operations and support process. And the third one is order to cash. So the first one is data. The second one is customer retention. The third one is cash flow, fundamentally. And the fourth one, IT operation, is efficiency. Right. So those are, you can see the list of all the others. Those are the 20 most popular processes automated using the enterprise automation platform. And they account for 85% of the flow. So there is a long tail of other processes which have been automated using the platform, but they are the most important ones. Those where customers, they focus their investments and development efforts, etc., are those listed here. In terms of growth, the business processes that grew the most, again, not surprisingly, customer operations and support, data pipeline and reverse ETL, IT operation, and onboarding and offboarding are also, they grew quite notably. Again, reflecting the business priorities in terms of leveraging data for AI and analytics and customer retention and cost savings. So, Carter, what is your take on that respect? What are we investing in when it comes to automating our internal processes that work out?
Yeah, that 2 slides ago, it mirrors exactly what we are focused on this year is data and customer success. Last year, Massimo, it was finance, and it was a big pivot, and it mirrors exactly what we're doing internally. And it also it talks about data being number one and success. And I was kind of reading into this a bit, and what we're doing internally a lot too is leveraging our customer data, usage data, and our business data with AI. So, and I feel like with those 2 lines being one of the top ones, I feel like there's a lot of AI being done with some of our customers, which we'll see later, which I can't wait to talk about AI in this data.
Okay, excellent. So one of the big questions that I hear all the time from clients when it comes to this democratization trend is, okay, I can buy that business users can leverage an enterprise automation platform to sort out some issues, but most likely they target the simple things, the simple processes, whereas when it comes to automating complex processes, it's a matter of IT. That's not our finding. As we are going to see in a minute, we saw that business teams and business experts are really able to address complex processes, even if they are not necessarily, as I was saying earlier, super skilled from an IT point of view. In terms of the adoption, of course, at the very beginning of the journey, organizations, they tend to focus on the high value, however, medium complexity type of processes, because they need to familiarize with the technology, they need to familiarize with the methodology, et cetera, but then they shift to highly complex processes, which are not necessarily more valuable from a business point of view, but they are those that create more pain, probably from an operational perspective. So let's dive into the data. And an exercise we went through is, okay, how do we know a process is simple or complex, right? So we define a taxonomy of 9 levels of complexity. We call it the complexity index. And as you can see here, simple processes connect with simple software as a service applications, limited number of steps, there is no batch, no events, and the processes with these characteristics are associated with a complexity index between 1 and 3. Then let's jump on the highly complex process. So processes with a complexity index between 7 and 9. They mix and combine cloud and on-premises endpoints. So for example, SAP ERP on-premises and a bunch of applications in the cloud and maybe a data lake in the cloud. They automate a large number of steps, dozens and dozens of different steps in the process. They use conditional rules, business logic, process loops, cross-referencing data, batch and events. So it's quite a complex set of capabilities deployed in order to automate the process. They apply advanced data transformation, and maybe they include also integration with business partners. And the medium complexity is somewhere in between, right? So basically, by applying machine learning, we classified all the recipes, all the flows that we have in the repository, all the flows generated by our customers over the past 3 years. And we came out with a distribution, let's say, of those flows along these 9 levels of different complexity. And this is the resulting picture. As you can see, the distribution is not surprisingly a classic bell curve. And 55% of the processes implemented, of the flows implemented, are of medium complexity. 23% are simple, so complexity index between 1 and 3. But as you can see, 21% are highly complex. And again, this is not at all surprising for anybody who is an expert on integration and automation. Not even in a large organization, not necessarily all the automation processes, automation requirements are complex. Probably 60–70% are not that complex. And maybe 20–30% are really, really complex. So this distribution reflects very well, I will say, the reality of the market above and beyond what the Workato customer did. Now, a little bit more interesting discussion is to see how different is this distribution depending on the skill of the buyer, of the builder, right? So this is how the diagram looks like when we consider flows implemented by IT people, IT specialists. So as you can see, the diagram shifted a little bit to the right. Only 20% of the processes implemented by these IT specialists are simple, and 23% are complex. I remind you, in the previous chart, it was flipped the other way around. 23% was simple and 21% was complex. Even in the middle ground, in the medium complexity type of scenarios, as you can see, IT especially, they tend to focus on the most complex. As a matter of fact, 62% of the flows implemented by IT specialists are of medium or high complexity, right? And again, this is not surprising. Of course, you have IT specialists and they can do the job. They can address complex type of scenarios. Let's see what the business people, they can do. Okay, here we see the picture shifted on the left, which is very natural. As you can see, 66% of the flows implemented by business experts are medium to low complexity, but you see that 16% of the processes implemented by business experts are of high complexity. The 0% on the 9 complexity index means 0.5, 0.5% of the processes implemented by business experts are very, very complex, right? So basically, what is the key message here? The key message is that we can actually leverage business experts also to support highly complex type of scenarios. Not necessarily they can only implement Mickey Mouse type of requirements. They can be actively engaged, even in supporting requirements which are of medium or even high complexity. So, Carter, what is your take here?
Yeah, no, this data really surprised me, Massimo. We're Workato, and I have the leverage to really push automations to the business here at here, and the business does some really complex automations. I used to see some of the things I saw our customer support team did and our marketing team, but 19% of all of across 1,000 customers. That was really impressive, and it really surprised me. And that last bullet, I completely agree with. And people often ask me, where do you start automation? And I say, pick the most painful manual process you have that's costing a lot of, it's doing a lot of manual, but start there and start really simple. Get in the room with the business users and map that process out, and just start iterating. It's like we said, it's a journey. Pick the painful process, iterate, start small. We filled up a full whiteboard a couple of weeks ago, Massimo, with finance on a kind of a painful accounts payable process here. And we mapped it out, and we're going to start iterating with them on automating it together. But that's how you do it. And that's a complex process. And we're going to eventually turn it over to them to manage.
Yeah. Excellent. The other comment I have is, the last but one bullet, don't neglect simple requirements. You are an IT manager, you have 3 people in enterprise automation, you tend to focus on the most complex, the most valuable processes, and neglect, the simple requirements coming from the business. No, don't do that. Teach the business how to use the enterprise automation platform, and teach them how they can solve their own problems by themselves. So there is value, not necessarily a simple requirement is not valuable from a business point of view. It might be very, very valuable, right? So a good starting point, I will say, for this democratization journey is really to start working with the business teams to help them sort out by themselves those requirements, which from the point of view of an IT department are simple, but which are very important for them. And then over time, they will become able to support highly complex type of requirements. Would you agree, Carter?
I completely agree. I kind of skipped that bullet point because here at Workato, the simple ones are just kind of done with the business. And we have the governors and the change management process in place where they kind of knock it off themselves, and then they ask us to get involved with more complex strategic automations we can do. Yeah.
Excellent. Right. So let's get to the final part of the discussion, which is the applications and databases and endpoints and AI, et cetera. So the key findings are the following: software as a service application, databases, and chatbots are the most popular endpoints that organizations incorporate into their enterprise automation flows. It's not surprising, but it's interesting. Also considering that chatbots is the second most popular one. And this is probably not so obvious. And as we were saying at the very beginning of the discussion, the use of generative AI in the business process is growing rapidly, primarily in revenue operations teams, as we are going to see in a minute. So what are the most popular automation endpoints? What are the applications and the systems that organization they integrate into their enterprise automation processes? As you can see, by far the most popular is Salesforce. 57% of the organizations we analyzed integrate Salesforce into their business processes, right? The second most popular, 29%, is Workbot for Slack. So the use of bot technology in the context of Slack to provide employee self-service, customer self-service type of applications, etc. Then we have NetSuite, then we have Jira or Jira, I never know how to say it.
Jira.
SQL Server, and you can Jira, okay. So you can see what they are. So the lighter green bar indicates the number of organizations which have integrated, for example, Salesforce in their processes. The darker bar indicates the share of flows, so in how many flows, for example, Salesforce is integrated. As you can see, even though 57% of our of the organization we analyzed use Salesforce and integrate Salesforce into their processes, the Salesforce integration accounts for only 17% of the total number of flows. What does it mean? It means that, yeah, maybe there is a pivotal application such as Salesforce, which catalyze a lot of consideration, but not necessarily Salesforce integration is the most popular or is by far the most popular use case. So as you can see, for example, when it comes to SQL Server, is the third most popular in terms of flows implemented to push data into SQL Server, even though in terms of the number of organizations which are leveraging SQL Server in their processes is only the number 5. So this is a global perspective, and I wanted to give you a little bit of a drill down on the region, on APJ. As you can see, the picture is similar, but not exactly the same as the global picture. For example, Salesforce in the region is a lot less popular than globally. I remind you, globally, 57% of the organization integrate Salesforce in their processes. In the region, in APJ, is only 37%. And Salesforce integration is not the most popular type of integration flows. So organization they use in the region, they use, for example, enterprise automation to integrate with SQL Server more than with Salesforce. Then we see the names of the vendors are similar to those that we saw earlier. However, with a couple of interesting differences. SharePoint, Microsoft SharePoint is popular here in the region. Not necessarily this is the case in North America and in EMEA. And we see SAP on-premises, good old SAP ECC on-premises, significantly popular in the region, very much like OutSystems. OutSystems is a low-code development platform. So it looks like a lot of people are building application using OutSystems and then integrating the OutSystem build application with other application using enterprise automation. So the picture is similar, but not exactly the same, because evidently the priorities and the business drivers in the region are different than those at the global level. So let's deep dive a little bit into AI. So what is this chart showing to you? Well, fundamentally, what we did was the following. We looked at all the flows that we have in the repository, and we tried to figure out how many of them incorporate generative AI type of capabilities. Basically, they connect into OpenAI or Gemini or other generative AI type of capabilities, right? And what we found is the absolute numbers, as I was saying earlier, they are not huge. We are not talking about thousands of organizations and tens of thousands of processes. We are talking hundreds. But nonetheless, the outcome is quite interesting. As you can see, 48% of the processes incorporating generative AI are built in support of the revenue operations team. For example, the most popular, excuse me, the most popular process is conversation intelligence. So basically understanding the customer sentiment and things of this nature. Or lead and contact enrichment is another popular process. Automation or automated sales reports is another one. So as you can see, a lot of use of generative AI in support of the revenue operation team. The second most popular, not surprising, is IT. So IT is leveraging AI in their business processes to become more efficient. As you can see, the number one process is virtual service desks, fundamentally using chatbots to support internal users or even external users. And knowledge federation, collecting information, putting them in a wiki, those are the most popular processes when it comes to IT. The third one is customer support and operation, with account management playing the lion's share here, taking the lion's share here. So customer operation account for 12% of all the flows incorporating AI. And last but not least, the finance and accounting, 9%. For example, things like customer data hub, creating a hub where you have all the data about customers, contract lifecycle management, quota generation and validation, et cetera, et cetera. To be clear, this is not the market. This is what the Workato customer they have done. So probably other vendor, they could show completely different pictures. But in my view, it gives an interesting sense of where generative AI is likely to be used in the context of supporting business processes, and probably can also give you a sense of where to start with your experimentation with generative AI, not just for the fun of it, and not just to generate nice images and fancy presentations, but really to support the day-to-day operation of your company. So, Carter, you have a lot of experience in that one, right? Because we are using AI all over the place at Workato, right? So what is your take here?
I don't know about a lot. I think just, like the slide says, we got to experiment. IT has to be in the forefront internally of using automation with AI. I can't wait to see how that one slide ahead trends over the next year or two. Because yes, you're right. We're doing some simple stuff and creating documents and translating documents. And it doesn't surprise me. We mirror those numbers completely. Our RevOps team is using quite a bit for some growth methods and processes. IT is using it to help with some security automations with AI. So those numbers are right on track with us. And we're using those AI chatbots to leverage conversations with AI. So it's right where we're going. But like I said before, you start establishing those dialogues with business teams. As you're talking about automation business processes, really think about using AI within those business processes to make those processes smarter and faster. We have an order to cash process, which we're actually implementing AI in there to make that decision making of a quality of a deal easier for our deal desk. So we took the same process, put some AI in it, fed it some data about the deal itself, the pricing, the cost of the deal, and maybe some public information about the customer we're working with, and like, hey, this looks like a good deal for Workato. So it's a good deal for Workato. So that's where we're starting, and things like that, and just doing some idea jams with the business about AI. It's kind of fun. It's exciting. But yes, it's a journey. We're just getting started, and I can't wait to see these numbers next year.
Excellent. So, I was an analyst, as Miranda was saying at the beginning, so I couldn't resist to put together a few predictions for 2024. And those predictions are actually validated by the data that we saw. So the very first one is that over the next 5 years, you guys will perform at least twice as much enterprise automation work than you performed over the past 5 years. There are a lot of new things that we need to take care of. AI is one of them, and we have a lot of enterprise automation work that we will have to do over the next 5 years. So there is no hope. We have to invest in this technology. Integration platform as a service will emerge as the dominant form of enterprise automation technology. We saw the versatility of the platform. We saw how Workato can support a variety of different use cases in different business teams, supporting different business requirements, etc. And of course, it's not just Workato, but also several of its competitors. They are following the same path. So in your strategy, iPaaS, whether we hope for Workato, but maybe others, will play a dominant role. AI integration will emerge as one of the top 3 enterprise automation scenarios. Today, as I was saying, the numbers are not that big, but we see this growth. And I sincerely believe that over the next 3 to 5 years, a lot of your efforts from an enterprise automation perspective will be integrating AI into the business processes. However, the other prediction, which is a negative prediction of the predictions so far have been positive to a certain extent. I think that over 50% of AI initiative will fail to deliver the anticipated benefits because they are not integrated into the business processes. If you wanted the positive spin of this prediction is your AI initiatives are going to be way more successful if you incorporate AI into your business processes rather than leveraging it as a standalone technology to, as I was saying earlier, preparing fancy images or nice presentations. So the conclusion is that AI and enterprise automation in combination unleash unprecedented opportunities. AI will dramatically reshape business processes. There are some very interesting things that we are doing at Workato that are going to change the way in which organization will think about business processes. Now we have a static perspective of what the business process is. We designed the business process on the whiteboard, and this is what it is. We think that AI will allow us to have a much more dynamic and much more flexible and agile perspective of what the business process is. This means that you have to creatively reimagine how you work from a business perspective in the light of the AI opportunities. AI-enabled enterprise automation, however, requires you to adopt an appropriate technology strategy, which combine AI, low-code platform, process automation, API, events, microservices, and cloud-native technology. So AI-enabled enterprise automation is not just one technology, it's a combination of different technologies, and you need to be able to combine them together. You have to think about the organizational model. In other words, technology is great, but technology for technology's sake doesn't deliver much value if not incorporated into an organizational model. And we strongly believe that the organizational model for the future, the best model to really leverage AI-enabled enterprise automation from a business point of view is this democratized model we were talking about. And this means providing enablement services and governance policies to favor adoption by a large population of IT and business experts. With that, we are at the end of the presentation. Again, this is the QR code for you to download the Work Automation Index. And Miranda, maybe we have time for a couple of questions before we wrap up.
Yes, so we have a question from Fanny. Fanny would like to find out a little bit more about what helps these business teams take more ownership of the automation over time. She was wondering if it was more due to a plug and play from the initial foundations that were built, and that helps the business operations become non-tech dependent, or is the observation leaning towards dependencies on IT, which is still higher at the beginning? And she's also asking, with more low to no code apps coming out, whether we see that dependency shifting.
Cara, do you want to take the first?
Yeah, I'll take that one.
This is what you do, right? Yes.
Yeah, this is really what we do. It's a journey. It's constant enablement. It's constant training. It's constantly training. It's really almost every week we are with the business working on their automations. You just can't do it one time. And also the team changes, the team morphs, new processes come in, new products we're selling, create new new ways of doing things within the company. IT really needs to be on top of that and working with the business. It's a journey, and it's not just one and done. I as a leader of business technology here, I'm constantly pushing my team to push business processes to the business instead of having us build something, especially around that onboarding and offboarding process that usually IT kind of owns. We're really pushing the automation and ownership of that onto HR. It's a constant enablement, constantly doing that. And the second part, you want to take that, Massimo?
Yes. Miranda, would you mind repeating the second part of the question?
So
Sorry,
the
it was
second
about
question
low
is
code.
that with
code
more low to no code apps coming into the market, do we see that dependency shifting? You know, the dependency on IT shifting.
Well, let's say the following. There is nothing magic in low code, of course. It's still a programming language, very simple, very intuitive, but it's still a programming language. So you do really need a minimum level of IT skills. You know, okay, you are a business person, you are an accountant in the finance department, but in order to use low code, you really need to have a minimum level of IT skills. However, we are very hopeful that with generative AI, this limitation will go away. Basically, Workato and other vendors are working on providing you with tools by which you essentially describe the expected outcome in natural language, and then the platform will generate all the low code or the recipes in Workato language, all the flows automatically for you. We are not ready yet because there are a number of technical issues associated with generative AI, hallucination, this and that, et cetera, et cetera. But this is what we at Workato and the industry at large is working on. So I'm hopeful that over the next, I don't know, maybe 2-3 years, we will be able to provide developers, business people with no IT skill whatsoever, an ability to create automation flows basically by describing the expected outcome in natural language. We will see. I see here a couple of methodological questions. Just to be very, very clear. Again, this is not a survey, right? It's not a questionnaire that we sent to customers and they had to fill in the questionnaire on our behalf. This is analysis of what customers have done leveraging the Workato platform. So the answer to the question, yes, this is not the market. We don't pretend this. We gave you a picture of the market. We gave you a picture of what Workato customers they have done, which is of course representative of the market, you know. And so all the organizations analyzed are Workato customers, and all the flows implemented are implemented on top of Workato. Miranda?
Yep. Tagging on to the earlier question on low code, no code, right? We do have another question on democratization. So how do we ensure governance and security across business teams with democratization being a growing trend?
Yeah, there is an article on workato.com that talks about this extensively, but the short answer is the following. This is really responsibility of central IT, right? Central IT will delegate the responsibility for delivery to the business teams, but it is the central IT responsibility to put in place all the governance and security policies and mechanisms to make sure that the business teams cannot break, you know, the governance policies and cannot do stupid things from a security perspective. So Carter, do you want to maybe elaborate a little bit on this one?
Yeah,
because
there's two things addressed there. Is that the ethos, the beginnings of our product, the founders of our product had the idea of giving this product to the business. So really there's fundamental features in our product that allow the IT teams to control what business can do. And it's very, very granular, down at role-based access and different projects and folders. Now we have to automate HQ, can actually give a physical Workato workspace to groups who maybe need to pivot quickly. It can be more, can have more freedom than the other workspaces, be controlled by us in finance. So there's controls in there. So that's number one. It's built into the product. And number two, we have a framework that we roll out to a lot of customers called GEARS. So govern, enable, adopt, run, scale. And it's a way to of the process and methodology to put in place to help govern this automation and put the guardrails in place.
And perhaps one last question from Jalpesh, whether we have any ROI data.
Yes, we do, but not as part of the automation index. The automation index cannot evaluate ROI, but we have methodologies and tools that can help you evaluate the business impact of the use of the technology. And we are also building, we are about to release an extension to the Workato platform, which is called Workato Insights, which will, which essentially a set of analytical type of capabilities on top of the platform that will make it possible for you to actually measure ROI.
Right.
So you define your own KPIs, and Insights will populate those KPIs with data. So you will have a dynamic, personalized, customized perspective on the ROI for your processes. Right, Carter?
Yep, you said it exactly. I hope you're going to get there. Workato Insights, I can't wait. We're actually using the beta version of it today to measure ROI and actually have it visible to us and the business of what the benefits of automations internally.
Yep.
We do have another question from Aaron on the built-in approval mechanism for the deploy feature, but we are running pretty tight on time right now. So perhaps, Aaron, you could drop us an email and we will answer your question offline, and we will connect you with one of our consultants. Would that work? Jalpesh, if you would like to, figure out how Workato can offer your business ROI, please also drop us an email and connect with us after this. We will have a consultant answer your question personally as well. With that being said, thank you so much, Carter and Massimo, for your time spent with us today. Once again, please scan the QR code on the screen if you would like to download a copy of the Work Automation Index. And thank you to our two speakers for joining us today, and for all of our guests who tuned in today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.